I arrived here shortly around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and the family was visibly shaken up. This is an upsetting afternoon in Hamilton. I just spoke with Mayor Stephen Woodruff, and he owns 4 businesses next to the apartment building that initially caught on fire. Since we last spoke, about 10 minutes after 5, if you'll see behind me in this Wayne's Appliance and Plumbing, look at this insulation. It blew out of the bottom windows of this building. That building right there, it is adjoining the apartment building, which is right next door. That's where 18 people were rescued this afternoon. Some are suffering from smoke inhalation. We do have 1 fatality tonight, an infant.
When I went to my sister-in-law's funeral and was sitting there, and my stepmother, she came to the funeral. I was sitting there in a chair, seen her come in. She walked over and sat down and started talking to me, and all of a sudden she turned around and looked at me and said, "You know your dad murdered your daughter. You know that, don't you?" And I said, "What'd you say? Why are you telling me this now? Why 40 years? He's been dead for 30 years. Why are you doing this now?" Well, I just thought you ought to know.
Floyd Smith's stepmother denies she made those statements about her late husband, who died some 30 years ago. But she did tell us about a little girl's barrette she found in her husband's car just days after Patty Ann went missing. She says it could have belonged to Patty Ann, to one of Patty Ann's sisters, or to another little girl who could have been in the car. She also says her late husband made several potentially incriminating statements before Patty Ann's body was found in this area, such as they're not going to find her there. Did you like your father?
Yeah, I did at times, yeah. Did a lot of things with him. Yeah, he had some things about him I didn't like, believe me. But it's your father. You try to get him to acknowledge you, which I'm not sure that he ever did. He was too busy with women. He was obsessed.
Did you ever think that your father was capable of something like this?
Not really. I knew he was capable of hatred toward his wives if he didn't know where they were. All I know is if I'd have known it a long, long time ago, you'd have had to been in prison talking to me, because I wouldn't be sitting there.
Whether this person is responsible for it, I don't know. Like I say, he'd be a person of interest. There is no evidence that would indicate that he was involved in this. There is speculation.
The truth is buried here with Ralph Smith Sr. in Greenmount Cemetery in Quincy, just feet away from Patty Ann's grave.
I may move that before it's all said and done. He's gone. He's where he needs to be, and I'm sure she is too. If there's a heaven, I know where she's at.
Floyd Smith's stepmother said she's not 100% sure that Ralph, who died in 1978, killed Patty Ann. But she says the barrette has haunted her all of these years. And after her biological daughter told her years later that Ralph had tried to mess with her when she was young, the pieces of the puzzle started coming together.
Sometimes I wish she'd have took it on to the grave with her, but she didn't. But she gave me closure, and that's really what I wanted, because I could have never talked about this until all this happened. In this world, he beat the system, but I don't think he beat it in the next one. I pray that there is a hell.
Do you think there will ever be closure on this case?
Well, I like to think in law enforcement, there's never any closure until someone is found who has committed this crime and has actually been convicted of that crime. If the family can get closure on this case, I hope they can. I probably will never will until the case is solved.
We've got 13 rows, about 75 feet long, and we get about 400 pounds every other day. It takes a lot of picking.
Okay, there's a good one right there. Why don't you pick it? Could you do that? That's good. We got to pull hard.
82-year-old Bob Koenig of Quincy has spent the past 25 years growing tomatoes.
Well, I needed a hobby. When you retire, you got to have something to do. And instead of sitting in a chair all day long, I didn't get it, so I started this off.
What started out as a hobby has now become Grandpa Bob's Tomatoes. It sells tomatoes to area restaurants and residents and gives them away free of charge to churches and charities. Koenig planted a couple thousand tomato seeds right after Christmas in his basement. Once the plants got about a foot high, he moved them into a greenhouse before planting them in this garden this past March.
Well, I learned this from my dad. He was always interested in plants from a long time ago, so I kind of picked up after him.
What is the secret to growing
tomatoes?
Yeah.
Picking up the right variety. We've got about 10 varieties. Pick out the disease-free. You got to do a little homework.
And that he does. He uses the internet to find answers to his questions. For example, if one plant shows signs of being calcium deficient, he puts Tums in the soil next to the plant.
This is just a hobby for my family. We started off small, but it grew by leaps and bounds.
But at 82 years old, his family has set some rules.
I'm not allowed to do any picking. They want me to stay out of the heat, don't do any work. So it took me a little while to get used to that, but I kind of go along with it now.
Yeah, that's one of those crazy ones. Yeah.
Those are crazy ones.
And this year's drought has kept his family busy.
We had started hauling in water quite a while ago. And if we didn't do that, they would just dry up. There would not be any tomatoes.
And Koenig does not have a tough sell for his goods.
It's a good food and it's nutritious, good for you, tastes good.
What's missing here is the mask for Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if we go over here, all they left was the styrofoam head for Freddy Krueger.
This is what Connie Ward's yard on Hickory Grove Center looked like before heading to bed Monday night. A yard full of every scary movie character you can imagine, from Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
to Chucky and Jason from Friday the 13th, to name a few. But this is what she woke up to Tuesday morning: stolen heads, masks, and characters.
My bride that I added this year, her mask is gone, and she had a veil and everything. And you can look in the back, the pinhead mask is gone, and my Saul Timmy puppet mask is gone. They took the whole Chucky, all they left was the post. I do this for my love of Halloween, and for the kids in this neighborhood just really enjoy it, and I enjoy it, and I love to see their faces when they come to trick or treat, and I'm really heartbroken right now. It's almost blown my whole love of Halloween, and there's a lot of money involved. The masks are not cheap. They cost anywhere from $40 to $80. My pinhead costume with the mask and the costume was $180. There's a lot of time involved here. We started this year at the beginning of August. My favorite thing to do, and it sounds really corny, is I like to sit in my chair in there and watch all the people that drive by and get kind of freaked out and really like it, and oh, check that out, you know, and it's just scaring people because everybody likes to be scared, and it's just something different that you don't see very often, and a lot of people like it. And I just like the fact that we've had people that don't even live here anymore in this neighborhood that come back, bring their kids back.
What would you like to tell a person or persons responsible for taking all of these heads overnight?
Just, if you would, bring them back. This is my passion. I put a lot of time and effort into this. I've cried all day about it, and I know to some people it's just masks, but to me it's my passion. I love the little kids that come up here. They're all going to be so disappointed, you know, and if it was teenagers, I was a kid once too. But, you know, have mercy on me, because this is just heartbreaking for me.